morning, panelists. I am Zainuddin Manindig, and I am here to defend my thesis title entitled The Language of Dayunday, a Discourse Analysis. So the reason why I conducted this study is that I want to know the background or the language of Dayunday, especially its sound, form, imagery, and figurative language used in the Dayunday. Okay, so to move forward, let us proceed on the background of the study. It says here that folk songs are sung by common people during work or social activities. One of the most important characteristics of the songs is that they are part of oral culture. That is Cronenberg's et al. 2010. In the Philippines, no one has made an exhaustive study and research of the folk songs that the researcher had collected. All the studies were mere compilation only. Okay, so on the statement of the study or statement of problems, we have three questions. And the number one, what are the salient features reflected in the content of modern Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of A, form, B, sound, C, imagery, and D, figurative language. Number two question is that, what are the salient features reflected in the content of traditional Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of form, sound, imagery, and figurative language? On the third question, based on the findings of the study, what Dayunday English translation shall be generated? Okay. On the significance of the study, the following are the beneficiaries of the study. Number one, the Department of Education. Second, the Schools Division Office. Third, the students. Fourth, the Bureau of Cultural Heritage. Fifth, the traditional leaders. Sixth, the listeners and the readers. And lastly, the future researchers. On the scope of limitation of the study focused on the content of the modern and traditional Dayunday, especially its salient features reflected, such as form, sound, imagery, and figurative language. Okay. On the definition of terms, these are the following terms that are used in the study, and these terms were defined operationally as how it is used on the study. Okay, we have the content, Dayunday, discourse analysis, figurative language, form, imagery, line, modern Dayunday, sound, and the traditional Dayunday. Okay. On the chapter 3, the research methodology. And this chapter includes the following: the research design, okay, role of the researchers. The researcher is the one who collected the data, who gathered the data, interpreted the data. Okay, the research instrument were two Dayunday. The first one is the modern Dayunday, and the second one is the traditional Dayunday. And the data analysis was the content analysis. Okay. To move on, let us proceed on the chapter 4, the presentation, analysis, and interpretation of the data. Okay. As you can see on the table 1, it shows the salient features reflected in the content of modern Dayunday in terms of form. Okay, we have this table. We have the first column, second, and the third. On the first column, it is the modern Dayunday. In the second column is the line, number of lines, and the third is the number of stanza. As you can see on the table, modern Dayunday has 37 lines, and it has 8 stanzas. As reflected in Table 1, modern Dayunday has 37 lines and it is composed of stanzas. This implies that Dayunday has lines and stanza also. Okay. Table 2 presents the salient features reflected in the content of modern Dayunday in terms of sound. Okay. As you can see, we have the table and it has 4 columns. Okay. Table above shows the result of the sound analysis. In the first column, it presents the lines which tell what line have rhyme, alliteration, and onomatopoeia. As shown in Table 2, as shown in the rhyme column, there are 21 lines that rhyme at the end of every line, or so-called ending rhyme. These lines commonly end with the rhyme dua, saka, and salaka. As observed, the Dayunday analyze ends with the sound a sound. Okay, the short a or a. Okay. Table 3 presents the salient features reflected in the content of modern Dayunday in terms of imagery. Okay, so we have line number 2, line 6, line number 7, 20, and 28. Okay, these are the line that presents image 3. Okay, and we have this formulated meaning. Okay, this chart presents the line image 3 and meaning of the analyzed content of the Dayunday. It shows that there are 5 lines that presents image 3 and these are 5. They are lines number 2, 6, 7, 20, and 28. Okay. On this table, it presents the salient features reflected in the content of modern Dayunday in terms of figurative language. As you can see, we have line number 2, 18, 19, 24. Okay? Another lines that presents the figurative language. Okay. Summing up, data imply that language can be understood in many forms. In the content of Dayunday, it is more figurative when it is in vernacular. On the other hand, when it is given translation, it has the same meaning but it cannot resolve into figurative language. Okay. On this table, the salient feature reflected in the content of traditional Dayunday in terms of form. Okay, this is now the difference between the traditional and modern Dayunday. As you observe, in the traditional Dayunday, it has 20 lines and it only composed of 4 stanzas. As shown in the table, traditional Dayunday is composed of 20 lines and the lines are made up of 4 stanzas. This implies that traditional Dayunday have the same form with the modern and traditional music. Okay. This table presents the salient features reflected in the content of traditional Dayunday in terms of sound. Okay. We have 4 columns, the line, rhyme, alliteration, and onomatopoeia. Okay. So as you can see, there are lines that presents figurative language. Okay, and rhyme. Okay, so table 6 shows the lines, rhymes, alliteration, and onomatopoeia found in the content of traditional Dayunday. In the content of traditional Dayunday, it shows the 16 lines ending rhymes together. The words that rhymes together are commonly identified at it ends with the words na and wa, with a sound. These words that rhyme together are the following. Okay. Nakagina may ito na, and kagina ka siya din nakadedsa, sumanguda sa bangunan na, and ayakudan dandangan, so akal to kambayo ka na. Okay, as you observe, these 3 lines presented ends with the word na, or sound a. Okay. This table presents the salient features reflected in the content of traditional Dayunday in terms of imagery. As you can see, we have line 3, 6, 9, 10, 14, 16, 17, and 20 that presents imagery. Okay, so table above shows the line imagery in its meaning on the content of the traditional Dayunday. The lines that show images are the lines number 3, 6, 9, 10, 14, 16, 17, and 20. These images shown in the table implies that Dayunday uses deep words to represent the feelings and frustration in courtship. In addition, it does not use direct words to express, yet it uses words that are not easily be understood by the listeners. Okay. Another table shows the salient features reflected in the content of traditional Dayunday in terms of figurative language. Okay, so as you observe, in the traditional Dayundays, there are lines that shows figurative language. Okay, so as you can see, we have line 3, 5, 6, 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19 to 20. And these are all figurative language. Okay. On the chapter 5, the summary, conclusion, recommendations. Okay. First, the statement of the problems. Okay. The studies aim to answer the following questions. Specifically, it sought answers of the following questions. Number 1, what are the salient features reflected in the content of modern Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of form? B, sound. C, imagery. And D, figurative language. Second question, what are the salient features reflected in the content of traditional Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of A, form, B, sound, C, imagery, and D, figurative language. And the third one, based on the findings of the study, what Dayunday English translation shall be generated. Okay, summary of findings. This is now the summary. Number 1, modern Dayunday on marriage and courtship has form. It is composed of 37 lines and 8 stanzas. Second finding, in terms of sound, there are 21 lines found in modern Dayunday that rhymes at the end of every line. These lines end with the rhyme dua, saka, and salaka, which ends with an R sound. Okay. Number 3, moreover, in terms of imagery, there are 5 lines that presented in modern Dayunday mentioned in the table. Okay? Furthermore, the salient features reflected in the content of modern Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of figurative language are the following, as mentioned in the table and reflected on the paper. Okay? In addition, traditional Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of form is composed of 20 lines and 4 stanzas. Okay? The salient features reflected in the content of the traditional Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of sound has 16 lines that has ending rhyme. The words that rhyme together are commonly identified as it ends with the words na and wa with a sound. There are 3 alliterations found, and the sounding is the onomatopoeia. The salient features reflected in the content of the traditional Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of imagery are manguta sa bangungan, bachelor in a place, pananalong, which means songs, si malindaw, it shines, tihaya, light, titayang kususabar, patience will be my bridge, pagawangang kususabar, okay, which means patient will be my boat, and sigay ni dalam, which means light of the heart. Okay, finally, the salient features reflected in the content of the traditional Dayunday on marriage and courtship in terms of figurative language are nakadetsa sumanguda sa bangungan. This one is hyperbole because it is exaggerated. Aya ko dan dandangan so akal to kambayo ka. This is also a hyperbole or hyperbole. Ya ko dan dalulugan so langka no pananalong. This is also hyperbole. Saka isigay no ingat na saka isigay no lubusan ko na. This one is metaphor. Manabo si malig na saka itihaya no bangunan. Atihaya no badan ko na. This one is hyperbole and many more. All of this are reflected on the tables and on the interpretation. It has also a formulated meaning. Okay. Conclusion. Based on the findings of the study, it is concluded that the content of modern and traditional Dayunday on marriage and courtship have reflected salient features. The content of the modern and traditional Dayunday uses form, sound, imagery, and figurative language to express its meaning to the listeners. Okay, we have this recommendation. We have 4 recommendations. And the number 1 is language teachers may use Dayunday as one of the activities in developing communicative competence of the students, such as speaking, listening, and comprehension. Second, the Bureau of Cultural Heritage may adapt and strengthen the study on the other features of the Dayunday. They may conduct study on the origin and how it began. Third, the Department of Education may consider the Dayunday as one of the subjects to be integrated in the understanding culture subject in the K-12 program. They may add the Dayunday as one of the culture's identity to be included in the curriculum. And the last one is for the future researcher who may want to pursue the study about the language of the Dayunday. They may conduct their study on how the Dayunday words are patterned with the rhyme and how meanings are created from the vernacular to English translation. Okay? Bibliography reflected on the paper, and thank you for listening. I'm hoping for your kind consideration and approval. Thank you very much.